Today on Pepp Talk, we're going to be discussing the Omicron variant, how different counties have been dealing with it, its spread all over the country, and its effects on various peoples depending on their vaccination status. That and more tonight on Pepp Talk. Hello everybody and welcome back to Pepp Talk. So, I know it's been about 2 or 3 weeks since I last uploaded, and the reason for that was because 1 week I simply just couldn't fit Pepp Talk in my schedule, given the fact that finals week was the week right after, and then of course finals week came upon us, and then last week I was kind of recovering from that. So it's just, I've had a lot going on essentially, as everyone does, but I just couldn't find the time to put Pepp Talk into my schedule, so I apologize for that. But I'm back this week, and there's really not too much interesting stuff going on in the news that I can really find that I think I want to talk about, other than the Omicron variant and what's going on with that. So you've probably heard by now there's this new coronavirus variant called the Omicron variant, and it's the new threat, right? Everyone is super scared of it, super frightened about it. It's this new scary sounding variant, and I kind of want to talk about what it actually is, what its ramifications are if you get it, how dangerous it is, if at all, and how it actually might be a good thing. So I'll get into all that. But first, I just want to turn to the news a little bit. So the LA Times put out this article saying, California Omicron surge arrives as cases spike. Officials warn of tough weeks ahead. And then we also have other news outlets like NBC putting up an article saying, New York City sees staggering new daily cases as CDC estimates Omicron prevalence tops 90%. And you basically just want to pull these up just so you can see that there are various news sources all over the country kind of putting forth this idea that the Omicron is like surging throughout the country and it's very scary and something we need to be worried about. And I'd like to argue that, well, it's not really something we should worry about, and maybe even something that's good. And let me explain that, because that sounds a little contradictory. But essentially, no one is dying from the Omicron variant. Everyone who's getting Omicron, which is a lot of people, obviously, even vaccinated people, which I'll get to in a second, but no one is really dying from this. Literally, I don't think even a single person in the world has died from this. I think maybe one person might have in the UK, but I'm not sure if that's confirmed. And I think maybe one person in Texas, but I'm not sure that that's confirmed either. But the fact of the matter is that tons of people are getting the Omicron variant. Tons of people. As I pointed out, the NBC article said that the CDC estimates the Omicron prevalence tops 90%, meaning that it's surging throughout the country and throughout the world. And there's a reason for that. The Omicron variant is much more contagious than any of the past variants, more so than the Delta variant and the wild type. It is the most easily caught variant of the coronavirus. So that would be pretty scary, right? Well, we should all be scared, right? It's the easiest one to catch. So, and it's surging. So why are we not supposed to be scared of this? Why is it a good thing? Well, the reason I say that is because, like I said, no one is dying from this, and no one's dying from it, which is incredible because we obviously don't want people dying from it. But it also is good because Omicron is providing a way for all of us to get an immunity of some sort. So if you get infected with Omicron, which is likely whether or not you're vaccinated or not vaccinated, yet if you get it, you're not going to die and you're not going to be hospitalized, but you are going to get maybe a headache, maybe a fever, maybe a sore throat. That's about it, literally. It's like very mild cold symptoms, this Omicron variant. So it's very mild in its effects on each individual it infects. We noted this a couple weeks back on the last episode, I believe. I said that the South African doctor who actually found this new variant said that there's no need to worry about it because it doesn't have any dire effects on the human person. And that's proved to be true even today. Even though it's surging throughout the country and even though lots of people are getting it, no one is dying from it. No one is getting seriously ill from this. Everyone's just having a cold, if any symptoms at all. So it's good because it's not killing people, and it's good because it's giving us an immunity. Once you get over the cold, which lasts maybe a couple days, maybe even a week, you have immunity from the coronavirus from that point because you've built the cells necessary to combat future infections. So in a way, it's really good because it's not only not killing people, but it's also helping us to not get it again in the future, which is excellent. And that results in, or that is also a thing with the Delta variant and the wild type. Like, you're not going to get those variants if you've got the Omicron variant, because they're all, a variant of the coronavirus. So you're going to have the antibodies to not get infected, which is why I think that the Omicron variant is really an incredible thing, to be honest. The fact that I think we should be thankful that this new, very contagious variant isn't dangerous at all. That means that lots of people can get it and not get gravely ill or die at all. It's wonderful. And not only are we not going to die or get ill, but we're also going to build up a defense for other variants of the coronavirus at the same time. So that's why I think that it's a pretty good thing that this variant is just not dangerous. It's wonderful. It's really good to know that these people that are getting it aren't being hurt by it and actually getting helped by it in some way. So I also want to talk about the kind of vaccination status of different people and how Omicron affects people differently. So my roommate actually came up to me and was talking with me, and he said, so how come all of the people that I know that are vaccinated are getting the COVID? Like, aren't you vaccinated? You shouldn't get COVID? Yes, initially that was what was thought, right? People thought, well, if you get COVID-19, then you're not going to get COVID because you've got the vaccine. It's going to stop you from acquiring the virus at all. But it's also going to stop you from being hospitalized and dying, even if you do get it somehow. Well, we found out that the vaccines actually aren't too good at preventing you from acquiring the virus. They're not very good at stopping you from getting infected. So even if you have the COVID vaccine, even if you have the booster shot, you still very well may likely get this coronavirus. You may get Omicron if you come in contact with it. The thing is, if you are vaccinated, when you get COVID-19, what the vaccine is really effective at doing, what is really good, is minimizing risk. So if you get the vaccine and you somehow get one of the variants of COVID, you aren't going to die from it because you have the vaccine. The vaccine is incredible at decreasing the possibility of you needing to go to the hospital or even dying from it, God forbid, from coronavirus. It's 90% effective, in fact, against all the variants, which is incredible. So even though you might hear some of your friends or family members or acquaintances who have the vaccine, who have the booster shot, getting the coronavirus, which may disincentivize you from getting the vaccine, I would argue, no, you should still get it, because even though you may get the COVID, even after you got the vaccine, you certainly will have a decreased risk of going to the hospital or dying or getting seriously ill from this disease, which is incredible. So that's why I would say getting the vaccine is incredible. Maybe the booster, that's more of a personal decision, in my opinion. I don't think I needed the booster because I'm fairly young and I'm fairly healthy, so I don't think COVID poses much of a threat for me or my age group. But if you're older or you live in a high-risk environment or you have someone that you live with that is highly vulnerable, then that's maybe a better choice for you to make. But for me, I think just the normal 2 shots are good enough for me, at least for now, unless my school forces me to get it, which may happen. But regardless, the point here is that even though Omicron, this new variant, is surging throughout the US, surging throughout the world, it's scaring everyone. News outlets are putting up all these articles saying how it's surging, how it's COVID cases are rising through the roof. It's insane. It's scary. Blah, 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 blah. The point is that even though that's the case, this new variant is nothing to be worried about because it's not killing anyone. It's not hurting anyone really at all, to be in fact. And its harshest symptoms are that of a cold, like sore throats, headaches, fevers, the like. And you maybe have that for a couple of days and you're good. And not only is it not killing people, but it's also providing you some sort of immunity for later on getting COVID. So that's why I think that it's a blessing to know that this variant is not dangerous. It's a blessing to know that this variant is not killing people, because it's highly transmissible, and if it were, it would be very scary, but it's not. So you shouldn't be scared of Omicron or anyone telling you that you should be, because it doesn't really make much sense given the fact that no one is dying and no one is getting ill from it. So really, it's actually kind of a good thing if you get it, because then you're actually not going to get Delta or the wild type. So, but even better than that is the vaccine. So I'd say get the vaccine if you want. But other than that, that's really all I wanted to talk about. And I also want to talk about actually one more thing. My friends are actually coming in town for Christmas, right? So I used to live in Texas and now I live in LA, and it's totally different worlds. It really is. It's the way that we deal with coronavirus here versus back in Texas is just completely immensely different. And I want to talk about that for a little bit too, because, well, my friends were texting me and they were like, hey, so I know I'm coming to LA. Do I need to get like a COVID test or something, to come to California? And I was like, nah, don't worry about it. We're not that crazy. And I goes, okay, well, like, do I need to bring my vaccine card? And I was like, oh yeah, I guess you should bring that, because if you want to go into a restaurant or a movie theater, you're gonna have to bring it. And then they were like, do I need to bring a mask too? Like, do we still do masking there? And I was like, yeah, you still need a mask. And just talking with them about this, I was like, wow, the fact that they have to even ask this stuff is crazy to me. The fact that they have to ask if they need to bring their vaccination card, a test, or a mask, like, why in the world are we doing all this over here? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Just the idea that have been living over there for the past 2 years with no restrictions basically at all, and they're completely fine, and yet we're over here still acting like it's an emergency, like having to require you to literally have like a vaccine passport and able to go literally anywhere inside is insane. And the fact that like literally the other half of the country isn't doing this and is completely fine just makes my mind go crazy, wondering like, why are we still doing it then? What is the point of it all if we don't have to do it, other than make our lives harder than they already are? I don't know. It just greatly frustrates me. It really irritates me. And I can't imagine how much businesses are like suffering from this, given the fact that they have to turn away customers if they don't have the vaccination card. Remember, In-N-Out we talked about in San Francisco got closed down because they weren't checking for these cards because they didn't want to be the vax police. It just doesn't make sense to me why we are doing all of these crazy things when we know that the Omicron variant isn't dangerous, when we know that people are not dying anymore from this, when we know that everyone has the ability to get the vaccine and stop themselves from getting seriously ill, when the rest of the country and other colleges don't have to worry about masking or anything, and they're completely fine. Yet we over here in LA are still requiring you to wear a mask. We're still requiring you to bring your vax card wherever you go if you want to get admitted anywhere. And I just really do think it's all about control. And I say that all the time, and I know I sound like a crazy person, but I really do think that's what it's about. I really think it's just about the government over here, the local government, really just wanting to have control over its citizens' lives. And we're giving it to them. And we're giving it to them because everyone here, and at least in LA, is afraid. And they're afraid because of what they're hearing on the news, because of these articles that I'm just showing you, is scaring people. And yet they shouldn't be scared because there's no reason to be scared. And that's my point, is that I think the government is using this kind of tactic to incite fear within us in order to give them more of a justification to hold power over us, at least over here in California and LA. That's my theory. You can call me crazy. You can call me wearing a tinfoil hat, whatever you want to call it. But that's my theory. I really do think it's true, because I said that not only they're going to be mask mandates, but there's going to be vaccine mandates, and I was right about that. And I said, okay, well, they're going to have us have vaccine passports, and I was right about that. And I don't know. It's just bizarre to me that we have all these measures, even though they are completely unnecessary, and their reasoning behind having them just make absolutely no logical sense. But regardless, that's my opinion. You can disagree with me if you'd like, but I just hope that this has at least made you think about what's going on in the world right now and what's going on in the country, and I hope it allows you to think for yourself and derive your own opinion from this mess of what's going on around us. But otherwise, I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Thank you all for joining me today on another episode of Pepp Talk. I missed you guys. I will be back much more regularly, pretty much after Christmas season and all that, but I wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas. I wish you all a safe, holy Christmas and happy holidays. And I thank you all so much for spending your time with me today here. And I will see you all next week, or maybe a week after that, on Pepp Talk. Goodbye, everybody.